Hey everybody, welcome to Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page. On this episode, she won a Michelin star for her barbecue restaurant, appropriately named La Barbecue, in Austin, Texas, where she's honoring culinary traditions passed down from her late wife's legendary barbecue family. Here's Ali Clem. Ali, how are you? I would usually start by saying hi, chef, but in this case, do I say hi, chef? Do I say hi, pitmaster? What do you like?
I don't really give myself a title, to be quite honest, but chef pitmaster's fine.
Okay. Hello, Chef Pitmaster. Thanks for doing this. And I got to start out with the big one that's just sitting there. A Michelin star for barbecue?
I know, isn't it crazy?
Did you ever think that was possible?
Not in a million years.
Tell me about finding out. What was your reaction?
So we knew that they were in town. That's like, it was in the rumor mill that, the Michelin Guide was in town, coming to different restaurants. And I looked to my GM, Ben, one day, and I was like, could you even imagine if we got even mentioned in the Michelin Guide? And we both looked at each other and we kind of laughed and we're like, yeah, right.
Michelin had just started including Texas, right? So this was the first time.
Yes, that is correct.
What happened when you got maybe a hint?
Well, we just didn't even think. Well, they asked me for some photos. So we submitted some fresh photos and then I got invited to the ceremony and I was shocked. Of course that still doesn't give me anything. So, I could have showed up and got nothing. And it's like, well, maybe, we'll at least get a mention. And I was kind of happy to even just be invited in general. When they called my name, which was at the very end of the ceremony, they made us all wait until the very end. I was shocked. I just, I headed to the stage and I could hear some of my friends that were chefs that were in the crowd, screaming and yelling. And I got to the stage and they put that jacket on me and I told that lady, I was like, I think I'm about to pass out. And she was like, really? I was like, no, but this is absolutely unbelievable. It was just incredible.
In terms of, yes, Michelin stars go to French restaurants and other high-end establishments. I get that shock, but don't be modest. Don't you figure your barbecue is right up there and deserves it?
I know we worked so hard for it, and I know that, it's been a process to, I feel, get to where we are now. I think it's incredible, but I would have never thought that we would be put in a list with these other incredible restaurants all over the world.
So let's talk about how you got there. You're a Texas native, right?
I am. I was born in Harlingen, Texas, down in the valley, but mainly grew up in Fort Worth, Texas.
What was home life like? Was food a big thing?
Oh, yeah. My mom cooked, 5 meals a week for us, and they were always very healthy and very thoughtful. And my mom was an incredible cook. We were just very grateful to have the food at the dinner table like we did. And I really would just help her weekly kind of cooking dinner and whatever else. But it wasn't until I got to college that I started waiting tables and bartending and stuff like that. And then was thinking, you know what? I really do enjoy cooking, and kind of stepped my foot into the back of house little by little and just absolutely fell in love with it.
Tell me about that. You started bartending, cooking, serving. What exactly were the experiences you had? Presumably this was for pocket money, right?
Yes, I was putting myself through college. So I did work a lot. And just me being me, I'm a workaholic just in general, good or bad, I don't know. But I really just loved the rush of the restaurant industry. And these people that I worked with were my best friends, and I got to work along next to them every single day. And it's always taxing dealing with people firsthand constantly. And so I felt like the next move for myself was moving into the kitchen. And once I did that, I just kind of didn't really want to go back, but I moved into management, which also kind of hand in hand went with the kitchen as well. I started out actually when I was 18 at Chili's as a hostess, and then kind of worked my way up through there, and then went to a smaller kind of local chain. I went to school at Stephen F. Austin in Nacogdoches, Texas. So I worked at Clear Springs Antipastas. The DeWitt family owns a bunch of Clear Springs kind of all around Texas.
This is a chain, a Texas chain?
Sort of. It's like a mini chain, if you will. They have a few different Clear Springs, and then they have another restaurant in New Braunfels as well.
So were you scratch cooking? How'd you get your feet wet?
I really just started asking questions and then kind of telling them like, hey, I would really like to try this. Me coming off the floor is not something that they usually do. It's usually, lifers back there cooking. And so I really kind of had to prove myself. It was just kind of, I think, one Saturday night that we were down a saute cook. I'd been expoing for about a year or so back there. So
you'd been expediting?
Yes. I know, of course, what goes into everything, what it's supposed to look like, the rush of it all. I knew the process. I'd worked like just some slower times, but then they threw me in there and the rush of that was just something that I absolutely loved.
You had no culinary training per se.
No.
Did you just feel it? I mean, is this something you're born with?
I feel like it is. I mean, I'm a constant problem solver and I love the pressure. I love to be under pressure. I feel like I work better that way. That's just been my entire life, honestly.
Okay, so you get your first opportunity to cook. How'd you build on that?
Well, I had a little bit of a hiccup, unfortunately, and went through a breakup, as we all do. And I picked up and I moved to Austin. And it was just really kind of a last minute situation. I packed up my TV, my dogs, my clothes, and I moved in with my cousin and his husband. And I didn't have a job. I thought I was coming into Austin with a great resume. And I was like, I'll definitely get, a management job or a job in the kitchen in the back. And that did not happen. It's cutthroat around here. And I really kind of had to humble myself. And I took a job as a barista, which is great that I have that in my arsenal, but it was not my favorite job. And I found a bartending job downtown. That's when I met LeAnn and her brother.
LeAnn Mueller.
Yes.
And her brother was John?
John Mueller.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're both progeny of a legendary, the Mueller family barbecue tradition is remarkable.
Oh, for sure. And I had no idea. I was new to Austin, didn't really have any knowledge of any kind of barbecue in general. At the bar that I was working at, I was doing their Sunday beer busts where people would give me $5 and I would season and grill their steaks in the back and stuff like that.
But as many of us on the East Coast don't know, grilling ain't barbecuing.
It is not. So I had no education of any kind or even acknowledgement of Central Texas barbecue in general. But I learned very, very quickly meeting that family.
How did they get you into the world of barbecue?
So, they came from Louis Mueller Barbecue, which is in Taylor, Texas, and that's their family restaurant. And John and LeAnn grew up cooking and working with their dad and mom. So John was about to open up a food truck, J. Mueller Barbecue. John only had one employee and he was about to open the next day. And he was like, Ali, I don't have any onions. It's 3 a.m. I was just getting off my bar shift. So I went and I got him his onions and I looked around. I was like, John, what are you doing? I was like, you have one employee who's never worked in the restaurant industry before. That's it. And you open at 10:30 in the morning. Look, let me go home, let me shower, take a nap, and I'll come back. And honestly, I just never went back from there.
So this was you say a barbecue truck. I've heard it described as a trailer. I mean, did it have a front seat?
Okay, you're right. Because there's a trailer and then there is a food truck. So the trailer clearly is like it's pulled by a truck of some kind, right? So it was a trailer.
This was a trailer. And where was the pit in the trailer?
So he had a second trailer that had a smoker on it. We still have it in the back.
We'll be right back. You had no barbecue background. Did you like barbecue at this point?
Honestly, I was a pescatarian at the time. I had been a pescatarian for about 5 or 6 years. I hadn't really been eating meat in general, but LeAnn and John had quite a sense of humor, if you will. And it was the anniversary of their dad's death, and they wanted to do like a little bit of a Taylor bar barbecue crawl. John looked at me and said, you're not going to eat my dead daddy's barbecue on the day of his death?
I'll tell you, I was privileged enough to visit Bobby Mueller, their dad, several years ago for Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And then I talked to his son, Wayne, for my book. What a phenomenal guy and what incredible barbecue.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What was LeAnn's involvement at this point? John had an employee. Was LeAnn helping out? How were you making? What was going on?
So LeAnn was a professional photographer. She was actually a pretty famous professional photographer. She did a lot of album packaging, celebrity photos. She shot for Rolling Stone, Texas Monthly. Barbecue is something definitely she did not want to be a part of anymore. She moved away from it and she had come back to Texas because her mom had gotten gotten sick. And so she didn't have any plans of getting back into it, but she also did want to support her brother. They were like best friends. What happened was, in true John form, he was a great cook, incredible pitmaster, but he was terrible with business.
Gotcha.
And that's public knowledge. So the investors, John's original investors, wanted to sell it because they, didn't see really a successful future for them in this business. And he convinced LeAnn to buy it. So when that happened, I became the resident narc, if you will.
What do you mean by that, the resident narc? What were you snitching on?
All of his bad habits, all of them.
Gotcha.
So we don't have to go down that road. But, I wanted to make sure that if LeAnn owned it, it was going to be successful and she wasn't going to be out a lot of money and eventually.
Were you involved with LeAnn at this point?
Yes. So we had started dating probably about a month before I met John. And then a month after that, I believe John opened up his trailer.
How far down the road did you guys get married?
3 years after that.
So LeAnn now owns the place. You're working there. Okay. How's the business grow from there? What do you do?
Well, it was really unfortunate that John really kind of continued his bad habits, and we had to take back control, if you will, and LeAnn let John go, which was scary. But at that point, I had been cooking for John for about a month or so. He wasn't the best teacher, but he was more of a coach to me. And me growing up playing soccer for a long, long time, that's really a great way for me to learn as well. So I really just kind of knew what John knew, which was not a bad thing, but there was room to grow for sure.
Okay, so how'd you grow?
So, when we let John go, we had John Lewis at the time that was working with us. Well, he had come from Franklin's.
The legendary Franklin's Barbecue in Austin, yes.
That's correct. He had a totally different cooking method. John was a hot and fast cooking method. He cooked about a 5.5 hour brisket. Well, John Lewis, he was more of a 12, 13-hour brisket. We decided that, okay, well, let's just see what's up with this low and slow method. I think it's for the birds, to be quite honest. I've changed it since then. We cook about a 6.5 hour brisket now. But honestly, it was trial and error for at least the first year.
Well, wait, didn't LeAnn, I mean, her dad was Bobby Mueller. How did she know? Did she not know?
LeAnn was more of a front of house kind of person. She also helped recipe develop with her dad as well. But cooking was something that she didn't really get involved in because she was more involved with, she was very artistic. So that was kind of like the path that she wanted to go down.
So you're doing trial and error. Mm-hmm. You've had no culinary school experience.
No.
You were cooking one way, then another guy comes in, you're cooking a different way. How did this develop into Michelin star winning barbecue?
Let me just go ahead and tell you, I'm very competitive.
Okay.
I'm also very meticulous. I kind of rolled that over to we have to be the best, or we have to be competitive in this incredible city or even state with this crazy amount of barbecue places. For us to make it, we just have to keep elevating not only our processes, but our recipes, our service. It took a few years for, me to be somewhat happy with it.
At what point did you become the primary pitmaster?
I was always cooking, but I was always like cutting in the service trailer from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. We had some cooks in the back and I would kind of fill in shifts. Well, when 2020 hit, we unfortunately had to furlough a few of our crew members.
The pandemic.
Right. And I took back over the pits. I was also working up front, so I didn't really have a whole lot of time to spend in the back cooking a 12-hour brisket. So I went back to what I knew, but 5.5 hours is not enough. So I kind of really took the low and slow method and the hot and fast method, and I just kind of like put it together, and we have the process that we have today, 6.5 hours max.
So what's the secret? What's the key to cooking brisket?
The secret to cooking a successful brisket is consistency on your fire, on the heat. You want to make sure that you don't have a stall in your temperature in the pits. So this allows for this big chunk of meat to continue to raise the temperature into where you want it to be. With that being said, we only touch our briskets 3 times. We load them, we wrap them, and we use that time to rotate the briskets if needed. The ones that need more love go towards the front and vice versa. And then we shut the doors and then we do 1 pull and that's it.
You just said you wrap them while they're on the smoker?
Yes.
Who invented that?
So LeAnn's grandpa, Louis Mueller, had Fred Fontaine that was the pitmaster back then. And I was told not too long ago that Fred was the one who kind of created that.
What do you wrap it in?
We wrap it in peach butcher paper. Actually, I use it for everything, including my notes. It's just kind of a very sturdy paper that allows for the grease and the steam to stay all together with the brisket.
I want to get back to the brisket in a second, but I also want to continue the narrative. John Lewis has left. It's LeAnn and you. Are you an owner at this point, or does that come later?
No, that comes much later. LeAnn definitely wanted to always protect me in a lot of things. And, until the business was as successful as she wanted it to be, she didn't want to add anybody to it. So, unfortunately, I wasn't added as an owner. She named me as owner in many interviews and articles and stuff like that. But it's not until after she passed that I have become an actual owner.
Condolences, obviously. She passed away when?
2 years in June 14th.
So sorry.
Thank you.
So is it her legacy you're kind of carrying on? Is it Bobby's? Is it Louis? I mean, how much of this is emotionally and personally important?
Of course, with many things in life, a lot of things are emotionally and personally, important. And before her brother John died, he texted me and said, and he was in really bad shape. He was very sick. And he said, you will be my legacy. And I said, John, don't curse me. So, I do it for not only John and LeAnn, but for, the legacy of the Mueller family. I never got to meet her dad, but people loved him. And he was a huge part of Central Texas barbecue. To have that as something that I need to carry on is a lot of pressure.
Well, you're certainly, I was going to say, it seems you're handling it well, but how tough is it?
I love a challenge. Honestly, I do. And every day is a new challenge. I just kind of take it day by day. I don't find it as, some crazy pressure. I just kind of do it.
Back in a moment. Let's get back to the actual making of barbecue. The day starts at what, 3 a.m., 4 a.m.? Someone's got to start the fire.
Funny you may ask. I have Francisco, who was actually my first LeAnn Barbecue employee in 2012. He's still with me to this day, and I employ a bunch of his family, his wife, 2 nephews, his son, and his niece. Frankie used to get there, at midnight, but that's when we only had one smoker. And so we would have to kind of rotate out. But now, I'm not going to lie to you, he gets here at 7 a.m.
Wait, how do you start at 7 for a brisket that cooks for 6.5 hours, but somehow comes off at 11?
No. So he cooks our ribs and our turkey and our sausage that we, of course, do fresh in the morning. Our briskets go on at around 8 or 9 a.m. and we hot hold them overnight.
I don't notice that as a customer?
I guess not. I don't know. I mean, it's fairly common as well.
Now, what wood are you cooking over?
We use post oak.
Which seems to kind of be the Texas standard. Is that because it's available or because you like the flavor? I mean, I guess there's mesquite.
Of course, it is indigenous to this area, which allows for us to get it fairly easily. But it is also a hard, very clean burning wood. We can have all 5 smokers in the back fired up and you don't see any smoke at all. I mean, obviously we're smoking it. Post oak allows for us to have that hint of smoke instead of, taking it over, because we want it to enhance the flavor and not be the main source of the flavor.
You season the brisket with, when I was at Louis Mueller's, it was salt and pepper. That's it. What do you guys use?
We use salt, pepper, and granulated garlic.
Really? Mm-hmm. Who came up with the garlic?
I believe that was LeAnn. I know that John always argued saying that was his idea, but I really think it was LeAnn.
Should brisket fall apart?
You want integrity, of course, to everything that you cook. You want it to be tender, but I feel like it falling apart is too much.
And should it have sauce?
I always say we don't sauce shame around here.
But
because we do make all of our sauces in-house, but I always suggest people try it first and then add sauce if needed or for more bites.
What's the flavor profile on your sauce?
So we have a sweet sauce, which is it's more of a traditional barbecue sauce. We have a tangy sauce. It's a mustard base and it's got a little bit of a heat to it. LeAnn and I traveled the world a lot, so we came back with some recipes and some flavors that we really loved. So we added a Vietnamese sauce, which is mirin and fish sauce with some seasonings and spices. And then we have a pickled serrano vinegar sauce that we put on the table as well.
Barbecue traditionalists would say shame on you. How much do you feel like you can mess around with the traditions And still be doing it right.
I feel like you can always keep the base of the tradition, but I feel like for us to stand out, being creative in different things allows for people to come in and get something different from us than they can from another barbecue place down the street.
Barbecue started out as, well, in Texas, I guess, as a way to salvage meat that was going bad or something to do with less attractive cuts. The theory being low and slow would tenderize meat that would otherwise break your jaw. Of late, there's an awful lot of prime beef being used in barbecue. I mean, I think Franklin started it. What do you use?
We use choice. So we do an all-natural brisket from Hartley Ranch, which is a ranch outside of Dallas. After some side-by-side tests of different all-natural briskets, this one was definitely a standout for me. We have tested the prime, and for me and for our cooking process, I feel like it is too fatty. We have a very quick render time. So with the prime, all of that fat, it's really hard to render a prime piece of brisket in a very quick cook time.
Explain what you mean by that when you say render.
About 3 hours into our cook, the fat starts to render through the brisket. It's really kind of taking all of that fat and how do I even put this?
Well, fat's flavor, right?
Right, of course. But you don't want it to be like that white, hard fat. You want it to be nice and clear, a little bit yellow. And that's really kind of what you're cooking for. So the render allows for the fat to do that.
The way you feel about prime is the way I feel about Wagyu. It's just too damn fatty for me.
It's fatty.
And obviously, you're not getting a whole lot of complaints about the end product. Do you sell it by weight?
We do.
If I come in for lunch, you're slapping slices on butcher paper?
We are. So, of course, we weigh every slice and you can order by the slice. You can order by the weight. A lot of people who aren't from the United States in general don't know what a pound is. So we kind of work with them, answer questions, and sometimes it's easier to order by the slice or by the rib.
Barbecue used to be cheap. Nothing's cheap anymore.
No.
What am I paying for brisket at your place?
We are at $36 a pound, I believe, right now.
Do people accept that? I mean, it ain't cheap food anymore.
No, and it's gone up multiple times in the last 5 years, 6 years. It hurts me, honestly, to raise my prices. And I didn't for 2 years. And I got a price hike during that time. And I finally had to raise my prices just to, keep the doors open, pay my bills and everything else. I mean, we don't make a ton of money.
Do you own your building or do you pay rent?
No, we pay rent.
That's a killer for so many restaurants. You have a Michelin star. You're incredibly popular. Do you have any concerns about financially being able to keep going?
Always. The ceiling could drop at any time. We just lucky to have each week be successful.
Let's go through more of the menu. You've got the brisket. Central Texas barbecue is also legendary for sausage. You make your sausage?
We sure do.
Tell me about that process.
So we have 4 different kinds of sausages now. We started out when we first opened La Barbecue, LeAnn was like, we have to make our sausage because John wasn't making his sausage. And that was like an absolute deal breaker for her. So we came up with what we call our traditional sausage. And it is like a coarse ground. It is all beef now in a pork casing, but it does have a little bit of a kick to it. It's spicy.
Now, traditionally, or at least at Louis Mueller's place, I know they used bull meat. Are you using bull meat?
No. Well, now, at one point, we were doing a pork, beef, and then beef heart in there as well. It did give it a richness. Now, sourcing that was always an issue, and it also got a lot more expensive. And so we kind of pivoted on that. Now, through the years, I've taken the pork out of it in general, which I feel like is better. It gives it that nice, rich beefiness.
But I cut you off. You say you do 4 kinds of sausages, and you were right in the middle, and I jumped in. My apologies. Continue.
So we added a chipotle sausage after that. It's almost like a chorizo, if you will. It's really flavorful, actually a lot milder than the traditional. And we put adobo sauce and chipotle peppers, and we grind it in there with the meat. And then we added a jalapeno sausage when we started pickling our jalapenos in-house. So we go ahead and we add those to the base of our sausage as well. And then not too long ago, I added a chopped cheese sausage that I was just going to do as a special. And then it became extremely popular. So I kept it on the menu for Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Which one's the favorite?
My favorite is the chopped cheese sausage.
What's the buying public's favorite?
We go through jalapeno the quickest, for sure.
You mentioned pickling a pepper?
We pickle jalapenos, and of course we do our own pickles in-house. We do a quick kimchi, and then we also do a pickled red onion.
Is there a pickle tradition in Central Texas that I'm unaware of? Or are you just into pickles?
No, well, I do love pickles. That is for sure. My dog is named Mr. Pickles.
That explains everything. But seriously, why take the trouble to make your own pickles?
It's super easy. It is super easy. We do a quick pickle on our pickles too. And you can kind of like adjust the flavor profile to what we like. So we do a spicy garlic dill pickle. Pickles in general with barbecue, you get that vinegar, which helps, kind of digest all that fat that you're eating.
It's not fat, it's nutrition.
That's right.
Come on, it's not fat. Now, the Texas rib tradition is beef ribs, right?
That's correct.
How do you do those? Is this low and slow or is this?
No, we cook them alongside of our briskets. So we do cook them hot and fast as well.
Why?
It allows for that bark. I've actually switched the beef ribs over from the big plate ribs to the chuck ribs. I use a Japanese beef that is really, really nice and tender. It's not crazy fatty like those plate ribs.
Is it smaller?
Yeah.
Because some of those plate ribs, you needed like a forklift.
That's correct. So I also did it for like budgeting reasons because people can come in and they can order, a beef rib and it's going to be like about 3/4 of a pound to a pound in general instead of like 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. And then you kind of blew your entire budget or even like your stomach budget, if you will.
Now, you also do pork ribs, which are not traditional in Central Texas, unless I'm wrong.
Yep. I mean, I feel like everybody has a pork rib.
Why?
Pork ribs are a really nice add to the menu for many reasons. Pork in general is a lot cheaper than beef. And so we can actually kind of subsidize on money really with pork. What we're losing on beef, we can add with pork. And pork ribs are just delicious.
It seems like the barbecue traditions of various regions have, I was going to say snuck in, but it's more than snuck, have landed pretty firmly elsewhere. I mean, there's brisket in the Carolinas, you're doing pork ribs, and I think you're doing pulled pork. How do you do that?
It's actually the easiest thing to cook that we have on the menu. It's like a set it and forget it kind of situation almost.
Look, I used to look forward to going to a particular part of the country knowing that that's where I could get this dish and I can only get it there. How do you feel about the walls breaking down a little bit?
I love it. I think it's great. When people see Central Texas barbecue in different states, it makes them want to travel to different places, especially Texas, to see, like, oh, hey, is this actually Central Texas barbecue? Or they fall in love with it and want to try it in different places.
You like that? That's helpful to you.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
But if somebody does Central Texas barbecue terribly elsewhere, that's not good, right?
Well, that's on them.
How's the industry these days?
The restaurant industry in general or just the barbecue industry?
A little of both.
The restaurant industry is tough. It's definitely hard work, but I feel like I'm very lucky in Austin to have a lot of support from, I do collaborations with different restaurants, which allows for a community. Same with barbecue. I really have respect for everyone in this industry, in this barbecue industry, because it is crazy hard work and it takes a lot of patience and money.
What do you think about competition barbecue? There are those who have criticized it for, to some extent, whitewashing a cuisine that has deep African-American roots. You have any thoughts?
They're probably not wrong. It's the first time I've heard that, but, it makes sense. I honestly don't even compare the barbecue that we do to competition barbecue because it's a totally different animal to me. What they're looking for is more visual, more structure than actual taste, I feel. I'm not a fan, but I know people get intense into it. There's a lot of injections going on with that, a lot of things that they use to cheat, if you will, to get the product that they want instead of actually stripping it down and allowing for the meat and the seasoning to shine through.
The restaurant industry, as you alluded to with respect to the business in Austin, but obviously beyond Austin, this can be a very tough way to make a living.
Yes.
And tougher even if you're a woman. What's it like being a woman in a male-dominated industry?
I get asked this question probably every interview that I do. I still haven't come up with a secure answer for it. I just kind of do my job and kind of forget that I'm even a woman in this male-dominated industry. I'm friends with a lot of the men that do this, and I don't feel like I've been treated differently as of now, for sure.
I read that you have been inspired by a number of chefs whose cookbooks you buy and collect throughout the years. Who in particular?
Oh, man, I feel like I buy, at least a cookbook a week. You should see my library. It's absurd. I just actually picked up that book, Meat Method, that is actually really cool.
By whom?
It is.
I should point out for anyone listening, not watching, you're on your phone scrolling through cookbooks at the moment.
It's this book right here.
The Meathead Method. The Meathead Method. Okay, that's...
Meathead. Yes, Meathead Method.
It's a guy named Meathead.
The Barbecue Hall of Famer's Secret and Science to Barbecue Grilling and Outdoor Cooking. Tell you what, it's really interesting.
Oh, wait a second. You are one of the leading, I guess this is a word, meat cooks in the country. What are you going to learn from someone else's cookbook?
I learn from people all the time. Just because I have these awards or these accolades or that I've been doing this for so long doesn't mean that I can't learn from somebody else.
What can I, as a backyard cook, acknowledging that grilling ain't barbecuing, what should I know from great barbecue that I could employ in my own cooking?
Well, I always say, choose a cut of meat that you are comfortable with and familiar with if you're going to start out. And then also use the flavor profiles that you like and then any of your seasonings, even if you find a seasoning on the shelf that you really like, and kind of go from there. And once you get comfortable with that, you can kind of like level up, if you will.
You clearly have a reverence for the past, but you're obviously not afraid to tweak what's been traditionally done. You have any plans going forward to upset the historical balance of barbecue?
Well, when you put it like that, no. But of course, I mean, I'm always looking to grow, looking to build, looking to add on, looking to make something different. I feel like we have some very set things, like our brisket, I'm super happy with. Our pork rib sausage, like our turkey is actually my favorite. But that being said, I'm always adding specials, and I'll just sit and do research or go through my cookbooks and just kind of pick and choose different either meats or even the glazes or anything else. So I'll kind of like take a little bit from this book and then a little bit from this book and then change it up a little bit and then until I'm happy with it.
Well, tell me, what have you done for specials that I might not have seen at a barbecue joint?
Let's see. I've done a bunch. During the winter, I did a beef stew with our brisket trimmings that was very popular. And it's something that I absolutely love. It took me several days to make it by extreme scratch, if you will. I got the beef shanks, smoked those, collected the marrow, made the bone broth, and sauteed all of my vegetables in the marrow, just kind of like built it all together. So it did take me about 2 or 3 days to put together. I did these pork belly chops the other day that were crazy good. And I did a pineapple hoisin glaze on them.
Wow.
With smoked peanuts. And I seasoned the peanuts and kind of crushed those, and they went on top. And then we put our kimchi on top of that. It was really good.
And you're making your own kimchi, the Korean cabbage dish.
Yeah.
This is tremendous. Obviously, the folks like what you're doing, so congratulations and keep it up.
Thank you.
Specifically, congrats on the Michelin star. That's just remarkable.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's something that's still shocking that we have it and hard to receive still.
Well, enjoy it. And it's been a pleasure meeting you and having this chat. So thank you very much for taking the time.
Of course. Thank you for having me on. This is fantastic.
Ali Clem on Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page, and I'll see you next time.